Danite Radio. Welcome to the Counter Revolution.
Dude, I'm just stoked that Biden kept his promise to have it for him now.
Oh my gosh. And we're off to the races, folks. Welcome back to another episode of Danite Radio.
What's up? I'm Rock Dog.
I'm Shadow. No Jace this week again. I think he's mad at us.
So,
I should tell a hilarious hunting story that he doesn't ever get to hear.
do you have one?
No, I don't.
Looks like I gotta eat some crow, bro.
I think we both do.
Impressive.
You more than me.
Bravo, Mr. Cox, for signing that bill. I will give credit where credit is due. You the man, bro.
Is this converting him in your brain to you?
No. He still has a long way to go to prove. I mean, that's an easy...
That's an easy dunk.
Yeah, that's an easy, which is why I was so surprised when Herbert didn't sign it, and then also why I was like, well, there's no way anyone's going to sign it then if Herbert won't do it in this climate, you know?
He signed another interesting bill, actually, too.
What was that?
I guess first and foremost, for those of you that don't know, Governor Cox signed the constitutional carry bill into law. As of May 5th, it will be legal to carry a firearm any way you see fit.
Concealed without a concealed carry permit.
Concealed without a permit. He signed one that, and this is dumb anyways, but it removed deceased voters from the voter registry. Which seems like it should have been, a thing that we do, but it's not.
Yeah. It also surprises me, though, that he would even shake up the voting system. Because I'm pretty sure that we use Dominion voting in this state.
I think you're correct.
And I don't know. Just seems odd that Cox won. Anyways, we won't get into that. So we have a I don't remember where I was going with that. What did you say before? Oh, he signed the deceased voter. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, again, another slam dunk that you'd think, so we'll see what happens down the line with him. I've been following the updates from Mike McKell and Doug Welton. The DUI bill that we talked about last time got some changes in the Senate, and now it's back to the House for those changes to be voted on. I'm not exactly sure what the changes are because, again, what are you guys achieving here, other than nothing? You're achieving nothing.
I heard from a good source, I think I know how we should handle drunk drivers.
What's that?
If a drunk driver... Well, I guess to that end, since the legislature is overturning the judicial system, taking away the judicial branch of government, they should just full send. If you kill or harm another person while drunk driving, you ought to be shot.
Yeah.
I'll volunteer to shoot them as long as we're overturning, checks and balances in our state government. I'll shoot them. I'll do it.
I heard the same thing.
Oh, did you know who my source was from?
I get where we're going with that, but the bill makes it so that the accused can't automatically bail out. Yeah. There's anytime you get a DUI, you can just bail out. You don't have to see a judge. But the bill fixes it so, well, fixes is a loose term, but allows it so that you have to see a judge before you can bail out if there's bodily injury. Which, again, thanks, guys. I mean,
So helpful.
You know, now every drunk driver who's leaving the bar is going to think, oh, I might not be able to bail out of jail tonight if I run down a 13-year-old girl. You guys are not doing any good. All you're doing is creating laws.
Yep.
You're patting yourselves on the back. It's asinine what you're doing. It's retarded. Oh, sorry, not retarded.
Yeah,
it's asinine though. I don't get it. You guys are.
You're creating laws we don't need.
Yeah, you're not fixing anything. You're wasting your time. Yeah. What are you going to do about big tech censorship? And I know that some of you were working on that, but let's work on that.
Let's only work on that.
Yeah. What are you going to do about when Biden starts restricting online gun sales and online ammo sales? What are you going to do about that? Let's start working on that. Stuff that actually matters to the Constitution. Stuff that forwards the cause of freedom. Yeah, the cause of freedom, not the cause of nothing.
Yeah.
This drunk driving bill does nothing. Also, did you know old Paris Hilton was up there last week
advocating
for that bill we talked about last week about checking the abuse in
in mental homes.
In juvenile rehab facilities. I guess apparently she came to Utah in a
juvenile facility,
which I would assume was that one that they have out of Provo, Cirque Lodge.
Yeah, I think her and that other one did.
And I don't know. I guess I shouldn't say Cirque Lodge because I don't know.
Lindsay Lohan was in Utah too.
And Ashley, the twin from Full House.
Ashley Olsen.
One of the twins. I don't know if it was Ashley or the other one. Yeah.
Anyways. Wow. What a tangent.
That's just the one that they all go to. But apparently I guess there's like a documentary of the abuse that she took at a home like this in the state of Utah. And so she was there testifying, trying to get this bill passed where they regulate. Which, not a horrible thing. We could focus on that rather than this do nothing bail hearing for drunk drivers, whatever. Yeah. It's like the
least criminal of all criminals.
Dude, for reals. And they have a Adam Carolla always has this thing like we have those digital signs over the freeway, which is, millions of dollars of advertising a year. People pay a ton of money to get their name on the side of the freeway where hundreds of millions of people drive past it every year. And they do stuff like, hey, buckle up. Because a guy who's on the freeway at that point and still isn't buckled up isn't going to do it. And it's not the sign that's going to make him do it.
And the last thing he needs is another distraction as he's driving underneath.
Okay, well, you got him, And it's also, he also does one, like you see the human trafficking signs in the airports. And he's like, you know what probably changes the mind of human traffickers? That sign in the in the airport. Because if you're to that point where you're trafficking human beings, what's going to stop you is that stupid sign in the airport. Like, end human trafficking. You know what? That sign's right. I'm going to turn these kids free. And I'm like, come on.
Yeah.
So, thanks for wasting more time up there, gentlemen.
You got any more you want to talk about as far as local stuff goes?
Not that I'm aware of. Why? What you got, bro?
I got one to bring up.
All right.
I just forgot her name. Gina Carano. Just got, I guess canceled is the right word, fired by Disney for tweeting. Did you see the tweet? The one that broke the camel's back.
I heard about it.
She doesn't name any particular political party. She simply says the political party in this state or the political party in this climate in this country is akin to neighbors turning in neighbors in the Nazi regime in Germany. Yes. And she was fired for it.
Right.
That's appalling. That's unbelievable. Not really unbelievable. I was not shocked, but it shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
Particularly when her co-star posted almost the same thing, just named a political party.
Yeah. Well, and he did it under the Trump regime.
And he named
she did it
party
under the Biden regime. And so I was thinking about this on the way over. There's a hip hop artist that I like. I think I've talked about him before. He's a communist revolutionary, and I just cannot get enough of him, dude. I love his music. Like his music will be the anthem to the anthem communist revolution and the counter-revolution, I firmly believe. But he's got a line in a song called Civil War he does with Killer Mike.
Is this Immortal Technique?
Yeah.
Okay.
He does it with Killer Mike and Brother Ali. Brother Ali's interesting. He's like I don't know if he's just a white guy that pretends like he's a black... what is it when your skin's all white and you have red eyes?
Albino.
A black albino? Or if he's just a black albino. I don't know what he is. I think he's blind, though, which would lend to him being albino. I think albinos have eyesight trouble. Anyways, irrelevant to the point. He has a line in that song. It's called Civil War. That's something like, the problem isn't racism. It's stay in your placeism. So Gina Carano is a strong, modern, working woman defying gender norms. Everything that a 70s feminist would be like, oh my gosh, this is exactly what we want.
Exactly what the 70s feminists were fighting for.
But then she took it and turned it against fighting against gender norms. So she's come down hard on males competing with females as far as sporting events
Which
goes.
Again is something the 70s feminists would be all about.
Yeah, the 70s feminists weren't fighting for female equality just to have men become females and overtake the female roles. But isn't it fascinating that she's a strong female, hardworking woman who, defies certain gender stereotypes as far as being a cage fighter. She doesn't have a traditional, how do you put it? She doesn't live up to traditional beauty standards of super scrawny, sickly women like these gay fashion designers want you to think that men want. What she is insanely attractive to normal men,
Functional humans.
Yeah. And
not alien lover.
But she's everything that 70s feminists fought for, and they're throwing her out because she's using that platform as, look, maybe we should keep some things the way they are, like men who dress like women are ridiculous people. Women don't have to be scrawny little stay-at-home things. They can be strong working women, strong both physically and mentally. They can have a voice. But not according to Disney, because the man in the movie said the same thing she said, but he didn't get thrown out.
Which we're not advocating for him to get thrown out. We think he should be able to say what he said. No. Absolutely.
We just are looking for consistency from that side. And of all the companies to throw people out for past things that they've said,
Disney?
I mean, Walt Disney was an innovator, did some really good things, but, didn't really like Jews very much.
Yeah, no
Lots
kidding.
of anti-Semitism going on back there. And I don't know if your kids have ever watched, you don't have kids, but anyone out there listening, if your kids have ever watched Mickey Mouse Clubhouse, that show is designed to put your kids on edge, dude. My twins watch that show, and they are ornery the rest of the day. It's the worst. I really think that they use the sound waves to put your kids on edge and agitate the hell out of them.
Interesting.
And they get addicted to it. I turn on another show, my kid freaks out unless he's watching Mickey Mouse Clubhouse.
Interesting.
Which I've put an end to. We watch Thomas or Dinosaur Train. We do not watch Mickey Mouse Clubhouse anymore.
Interesting.
Unless they cry long enough.
Take notes. We don't watch Mickey Mouse Clubhouse
unless they
anymore.
can beat my patience. But isn't that, it's fascinating the way the tables have flipped. A strong woman loses her job for speaking out. I mean, she's had some tweets about how, look, women shouldn't have to compete with men in sporting. That's what feminists, know.
And that's from the perspective of somebody who was a professional fighter. Like, I wonder why she's saying that. Oh, because she never wanted to be beat up by a dude.
For reals. And she could probably beat up, a lot of dudes, but not professional. There's no comparison, There's no comparison. So, I don't know. It's just interesting the way that worked out.
Yeah.
The way they canceled that chick for being a feminist, legitimately,
Yeah.
For wanting women to have the right to choose. So, I don't know. Just interesting. I just wish that Gina Carano would accept her fate as my second wife. Just kidding, Aaron. I don't want a second wife. You're everything I need.
You couldn't handle a second wife.
No,
bro.
for sure,
You'd be
no.
freaking off the rails.
For sure, no. Especially two as jacked and beautiful as my wife and Gina Carano, dude.
Gang up on you.
It'd be over, dude. It'd be over, bro. Oh my gosh.
But as far as victories go, your boy got off. Shockingly. Acquitted
Trumpster?
by the Senate.
Oh, wow. I can't believe it.
You mean to tell me that with no grounds for impeachment, he wasn't impeached? Shocking.
Yeah. It's amazing.
I think the old Democrats should try again.
Just never
Just
give
keep
up.
impeaching.
Dude. I'm sure they could find something after all
Run
the
it
things
back.
that they've found,
Run it
for
back,
sure.
House of Representatives. Run it back.
Yeah, I don't I don't know where they go from here, dude. I mean, I guess they turn on the supporters. They've already brought up things like Trumpism, Trumpism caused this and Trumpism caused this. But I don't know how, cuz the news media was on its way out, people were getting their news from YouTube and places like that, and then Trump came and saved them, but I don't know how long that's going to last for, because they have nothing good to say except for, Trump is bad, man. Yeah. Orange man bad.
That's an interesting thing. He killed mainstream media by being the only thing they could talk about for 4 years and then disappearing. And they're like, we don't know how to report the news anymore.
I have found it interesting how quiet he's been. It's just out of character for him, but maybe that's what he's doing. He's like, all right, well, let's let these people.
Let's let them die.
Kill themselves, and I'll come in 4 years and save them again, maybe. I don't know if he's going to run again or not. I think he's too old. I think he'll retire. But I would imagine, he's got potential to be a kingmaker in the Republican Party at minimum. I think he should start his own party and, let there be three parties that are actually viable.
A kingmaker is such a great term for that, politically speaking.
Yeah.
They've existed before in their fascinating case studies historically in the United States, because they hold and wield real power, but in the end, it's the best kind of democratic power, because no man is beholden to another, and so they make people president and then hope that they'll do what they want, but usually they don't. And I think it's an interesting place for Donald Trump because he'd have no real power except as far as people will listen to what he says.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think maybe Donald Trump Jr. has the refined edge to maybe take his dad's place and be a politician that's not quite as that's harder to hate. Maybe
not quite as divisive.
I don't know. But with that, oftentimes comes mainstream things that was the beauty of Trump. We were just getting away from this business as usual bullcrap, and now Biden comes storming in with
turn the other cheek while politicians lie to us.
Yeah. Biden comes storming in with 50 something executive orders, and
that's to be expected. The next president will be even more. Just
right.
there.
No, I'm just saying.
Pattern,
I'm just saying. Saber rattling in the Middle East again. And I don't know.
I am glad he got all those women in his cabinet and sent tanks to Syria.
And some of those not women who are pretending to be women. Those men pretending to be women so that
the Rainbow Coalition death cult.
Yeah, the Rainbow Coalition death cult. It's here we go. This is what you Democrats voted for. You're the party of war now. So, and I think that saber rattling in China is important because they are another death cult. However, I don't think we've exhausted every resource as far as China is concerned to get the Uyghurs out of internment camps.
Well, and that's the problem with warmongering, with war hawking.
Yeah.
We're not hawking wars that are right and just and moral and good. We're hawking wars that make money.
Yeah.
That's what warmongering is, and that's what war in the Middle East, that's what it looks like. You're hawking wars that make money and wars that move money around. And sure, they make countries rich. It makes people rich. It makes private citizens rich who are selling military contracts. But it does not the American people make rich.
Yeah, I'm sure even war with China is lucrative as heck for places like L3 and Northrop Grumman. Probably more so than the Middle East, but
maybe.
I think that there's more we can do before we look at war with China. But I think that we should be on a war footing with China. We should be, hey, look, man, you got. And that's what I've been hearing a lot of advertisements for the Never Again coalition or whatever it is, where Israel, the state of Israel was developed for there to never be another, I guess, Jewish genocide, because I don't hear a lot of Israel supporters being like, look what's going on in China. I don't hear that. Do you know anything about that? Is that, as far as Never Again, is that only for Jewish genocide, or is it for genocide in general?
I don't know. I think it might be just for Jewish genocide. Because a protection of a Jewish state, maybe.
Right. But I don't get why. I don't know. I think if there's any consistency in Israel, they'd be taking a hard look at China. Because they have, and I don't know. I guess I expect it out of the Muslim countries. They're all divided. If you're not the right kind of Muslim, you might as well not be Muslim. But where is the outcry for these Muslim Uyghurs, in China, who are millions of them in internment camps being put down? Go watch the Vice. There's a lot of Vice, I don't know what you call it, stories, I guess. Go to Vice, look up Uyghur concentration camps, and if you can't spell it, don't worry. Google figures out pretty quick what you're spelling. But if you look up Vice on YouTube, it's brutal. It's a modern day Stalin-esque genocide with the citizenry actually saying things like, well, they deserve what they get because they caused trouble. They're making China weak. I mean, it's bizarre how we've seen this before, and everyone just kind of lets that go. I don't know why it's not brought up more with people like Dennis Prager, a personal hero, moral hero of mine, who I've never heard bring it up. I've never heard. I mean, Glenn Beck brings it up a little bit, but not as much as you'd expect for two gentlemen. Prager, especially being a Jew, both of them support Israel and are staunch defenders of the Semitic people. You know, staunch opponents to anti-Semitism, and yet there's a million people dying, being murdered in Chinese, and maybe it's just because it's been an ongoing genocide, and really Uyghurs is just the next target for the Chinese state. I mean, they've been murdering people, from what I've heard, for a long time, but I don't get why we're not, as the moral, righteous nation that we're supposedly, why we aren't calling that out. And a lot of it goes with like the human trafficking thing, you know. We don't call that out that much either, which is bizarre. But at least Glenn Beck is big on, I mean, he helped found Underground Railroad.
Yeah.
But you don't hear the outrage about these things, which is weird to me, because everyone says, like, if I lived in Nazi Germany, I'd have helped Anne Frank. Like, you think so? Because there's current things going on, and you still shop at Walmart, still buy all these Chinese products that are made by slaves. You still patronize Disney, who thanked the province that these concentration camps are in, the security province,
the Chinese Communist Party.
They legitimately thanked the wing of the Chinese government that's responsible for having these Uyghurs in concentration camps.
Internment camps is what they call
them. But it's even scarier because of modern science. They're actually harvesting organs from
living human beings.
Yeah, and like I think I told the story last time or a couple times ago, but there was a woman who lived in Japan. She was Chinese. She needed a kidney transplant. Japan couldn't get her a kidney. China brought her home, got her 4 kidneys before they finally got one that worked, which you'd think they would try and hide, but they didn't. They used it as like propaganda, like, oh, look, we take care of our citizens, but
where are those kidneys coming from?
4 kidneys represents 4 people that you stole kidneys from. I don't know how many of those died, because I know you can live without one of your kidneys, but if you're stealing kidneys, I doubt you care whether they died or not, you know? I don't know. That's just it's bizarre to me that you don't hear more about and maybe one day I'll get around to calling Dennis Prager on a Friday when he has open lines and being like, what's going on with this? Why don't we discuss Why don't you bring this up more often?
I think we often ask, how could one human being do that to another human being? And it takes something. You read the Gulag Archipelago. You read, I just finished Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl. He talks about these are just regular people. The prison guards are just regular people.
Oh,
for
sure.
And it takes a little something to push them over that edge where they're willing to, you know, commit a genocide, a mass genocide against a people. It takes something to push them over the edge.
I don't think it does. I don't think it takes anything. It takes them might lose their job. Them seeing the rest of society starving, and they're lucky to have a job, so they do. I don't think it takes anything special, just a paycheck, really.
Yeah.
And
I'm open to that.
And a lack of moral character.
I'm open to that.
But I don't think that's Prager's problem. I don't know, because Prager is he
doesn't lack moral character.
Yeah,
And the point I'm making is just in general, the much more relatable figure in that story are the silent millions of Germans that stood by and watched. For whatever reason, fear of reprisal, fear of being fired from their jobs, fear of losing great acting gigs.
I'm not even sure if that's what it is, dude. I think a lot of people believed the brainwashing.
Maybe.
A lot of people hated Jews because they were destroying the German.
If anything, we can point to the previous election where people were peddling Joe Biden as an honest man. People believed that. Sorry,
sure.
I'm not supposed to yell this episode.
I think you did all right.
But people genuinely believed that Joe Biden was the candidate of honesty and moral uprightness. And here we are. He's been in office a month, and we're at war in the Middle East again. We're freaking
not yet, but
not
they're
at war,
working on it.
But headed that way. There's tanks moving into Syria. I mean,
I don't get. I guess yeah.
We're masters at deluding ourselves, and in an effort to not do that, open your eyes and wake up. There's a genocide happening in China right now.
Well, again, if you go watch the Vice stories, and I don't care what side of the spectrum you're on, Vice is a progressive leftist news organization, so you feel free to trust them. You know, don't feel like you're being brainwashed. Don't feel like, you know, they are big time anti-Israel leftist. So you go, you watch it. They interview a woman on a train about what's going on, and maybe she's just protecting herself, you know, 'cause she is on camera. But she says, "Look, these people deserve it." But I don't know, you know, that sort of save your own skin attitude is the similar to I can't vote against this bail thing for drunk drivers because
it's political suicide.
Yeah, that's it's the same save your own skin mentality that I don't see from a lot of these people, but at the same time they're not calling out this Chinese genocide that I don't, you know, and there's proof of it. I mean, you watch that Vice documentary, it's almost life-changing, you know, it's devastating. They show Uyghurs being marched to concentration camps. They just go into these buildings, they round up like 6 or 7 gentlemen, 4 cops on each side of them, and they just march them to disappear in the middle of the night, you know, to never return, most of them, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So, you know, and Mike Pompeo, he said, look, this is a genocidal regime, you know. I mean, that's a Secretary of State. And that saying that has ramifications that secretaries of state don't take lightly, even if they were appointed by Trump, which I know that people think all things Trump are bad, but his work on China was really good work, and now Biden's in, and it's like, oh no, they're not so bad over there. They're pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
It's alarming at best.
Yeah. I don't know. I struggle with that. I just don't. I don't get it. Why aren't we calling that out more? So I guess what the whole reason I brought that up is because I am very, very anti-war, but not when it comes to stopping genocidal regimes. And my statement in the past has been, if it's not worth leveling a country over, it's not worth going to war. I think that genocide is worth leveling a country over. I mean,
and I know some you know, guys who dropped nuclear bombs on countries for committing genocides
against the same people who are committing the genocide now.
Yeah.
But I just don't get, you know, and people, well, that would kill, if you kill an entire population, that's genocide, sure, but we're doing it on a war footing, trying to protect other people. And the idea is that we bring the force so hard that they would surrender before we'd have to kill their entire population. But is it worth killing their entire population if they're the kind of people that keep...
If they're protecting the genocide?
Yeah, if they're the kind of people that are reporting Uyghurs to authorities, if they're the kind of people who aren't having a revolution over a genocide that's happening in their country. And, you know, I think that I don't think it's time to step in yet with as far as militarily goes. But there is definitely other things we could be doing, you know.
It's time to stand strong and talk about it. The line between good and evil is drawn through every human heart. And that applies to both sides of the aisle. It is right to stop a genocide. It is right to stand against a totalitarian government. And at the price of people's lives. People are going to die standing against the Chinese Communist Party. That's just the nature of the beast. That's the nature of totalitarianism. They're going to fight to kill what is right and good and moral and just. That's what communism is all about. Eliminating absolute morality, which exists. It's our responsibility to call that out.
Yeah.
That's a genocide. It's the people in China's responsibility to call that out. This is wrong. This is a genocide. We need to speak up for these people because eventually the Uyghurs are going to be gone. And then who's going to speak up for the next ethnicity, the next ethnic group?
The Hong Kongese.
Yeah.
We didn't have to. The Cantonese, I guess, is Hong Kong. But we don't have to. We don't have to go to war yet, but we can support India, Australia, Hong Kong, Taiwan, all these countries that are, I mean, India's this close to a hot war with China, you know?
Yeah.
And we should be all about backing them up, you know? We should be arming them, arming Japan, arming Taiwan, putting missile defense in Taiwan and Hong Kong. Damn the consequences. The problem is our billionaire oligarchs are too in bed with China. You get guys like Bill Gates, who owns the majority of the farmland in the United States now, and owns the rail company that runs down the Mississippi River. He owns most of our food supply and food delivery mechanisms in this country, commending the Chinese in the way that they handled the COVID-19 pandemic by welding doors shut and keeping people locked in their houses. So we have these oligarchs and people like the NBA and Disney doing business with China and trying to appease the Chinese Communist Party, and then we expect to have a moral people speak out against these things when we claim to be moral people, but we still watch the NBA after the crap they pulled with China and Hong Kong. I mean, the good guy between Hong Kong and China is pretty obvious. There's no question about which regime is the bad guy. I'm sure China would paint the people of Hong Kong as terrorists, the revolutionaries in Hong Kong as terrorists, but they're not. They're freedom fighters, legitimately. And we're doing what? Still watching the NBA? Still buying Nikes? Still buying your Air Jordans? You know? Every other Instagram reel has a guy with Air Jordans hanging on his wall, you know? And we expect people to stand and speak against the we all still buy our iPhones, you know?
Yeah.
And our Christmas lights from Walmart, I mean, those are all made by slaves, you know? We need to be shopping in America and local. We need to not be buying from guys like Bill Gates or the owner of Amazon, Jeff Bezos, because look, they support Chinese slavery. And do you know what Chinese slavery is? Uyghur internment. Do you know what Uyghur internment is? Genocide.
Well, and they're protecting their bottom line. It's way cheaper to get stuff made by slaves. But we have a huge issue with slavery, except for when it's actually people being enslaved. Then, we don't say a word about it.
We should know who we're doing business with. And Walmart, you know, I don't know the exact owner of Walmart, but I know that they're in bed with China. I don't go there anymore if I can help it at all. I did go to Walgreens yesterday, which I would assume has similar ties to China and probably is owned by some crazy billionaire. I try and do business with Pace and Market, who's not owned locally anymore, but it's still a conglomeration of small town grocery stores.
Is it Associated Foods owned?
No, it's not even Associated Foods. It's like, I looked it up and it's owned by the same guy that owns all the markets on the way down to Salina when we went through Gunnison and stuff. Yeah. So it's hard to know who you're doing business with in this country nowadays, but it's not that hard to get your Googler out and find out, and which is supporting another fascist oligarchy. But
Google it on your iPhone.
But at some point we got to do the best we can, you know. And I don't know. It's just fascinating to me. People who I know to be moral, good people supporting the NBA like it's you know,
like it's going out of style.
Like, oh yeah, we love the NBA, who loves China and slave manufactured products and stuff like that. You know,
I get that. I love the NBA. I love basketball. Love watching it.
I guess it's easy for me because I don't. I don't care. Yeah. But my problem is kung fu movies. I love kung fu movies, but a lot of these kung fu actors from China are
all just about it.
Yeah, just as all over this communist regime, and a lot of it is cowardice, you know, I think, because they don't want to lose their jobs, but you know,
on the flip side, these guys were born in China.
Sure.
That's a little bit different in that they were born in China. They're essentially Chinese nationals. They have a responsibility, a patriotism to their country, and it's a lot scarier for them.
I will say
some NBA player, you should be standing up.
Sure. Oh, for sure. Some really tall guy with a beard, you know, exceedingly talented, has the opportunity to be a modern day
Martin Luther King.
No, who's that priest that was murdered by the Nazi regime?
I don't know.
Anyways, modern day hero. You could be LeBron James.
Talking about the priest that wrote that poem or whatever?
Yeah.
First they came for the
that
Bolsheviks.
Guy. Yeah. What's his name?
I wasn't a Bolshevik.
Yeah, what is his name? Anyways, look, I don't I love Chinese cinema, to be quite frank. I think it's super imaginative. I love everything about it. I'm not that guy that needs my movies to be real or coherent, really, you know. If it's stylized in a way that I can appreciate, I'm all about it, you know. So, I've watched a lot of Netflix
kung fu movies?
Chinese kung fu movies made in China. Some of it had some Chinese like a lot of them have like anti-Japanese rhetoric in them, you know. The Japanese are all a bunch of heathens that just murdered us all in World War II, you know.
For no reason.
Yeah, and it was like, okay, you know, I can see past that, but I don't watch them anymore, you know, because all I'm doing is supporting a wicked genocidal regime. And the proof is there. Go watch the Vice documentary, you know. Anyways, yeah, where are we at, bro? 46 minutes?
Yeah, 43 minutes.
Have we beat this to death yet?
Yeah, I think we have. I think we beat it to death.
So, yeah, we're working on our volume so that you guys can hear us better and not get
your eardrums
blown out.
But I think we're considering this issue pushed, and we're going to say to that end, damn the consequences.
Yeah.
Genocide is bad.
Bad.
And that should not be an unpopular statement. It should not affect my life in any way, but it potentially could.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird the way this country, and I don't know. I guess there were similar things in Nazi Germany types. There were American businesses supporting the Nazi regime because they were tied in with one of them being like a computer company. Bell, I want to say. Anyways, I don't know. One of those companies. It might not be Bell, but this is the test of our time, folks. Do you stand with China, or do you stand against them? Because if you're sitting on a fence, you're standing with China. So,
yeah, indeed.
Pay attention to who you're doing business with, and try and fix it. My dad tried teaching me this as a kid, and I didn't listen for a long time. I just went with what was cheap, but it's getting to the point where you are blatantly supporting a fascist or a communist genocidal regime if you're buying Chinese goods. And it's hard, it's hard not to in this day and age. I'm not saying that I'm perfect and that I never buy Chinese made, because it's not true, but I do my best to stay out of Walmart and buy local if I can. If you're not buying local, you're probably supporting some oligarch, so and if you're supporting an American oligarch, you're supporting Chinese slave labor.
So right here from the radical counterculturists, buy local.
Yep.
Radicalism right there.
Yep.
Buy local. Alrighty, folks. Y'all have a blessed week. Thanks.
Peace out.